Stacey Abrams' 2018 campaign in Georgia captured the attention of the world. She came within a few thousand votes of becoming America's first African-American female governor. She ran against the Republican Brian Kemp in an election fraught with allegations of voter suppression. Now one of the brightest stars in the Democratic Party is turning her full attention to voting rights ahead of the 2020 election. Her group, Fair Fight 2020, will mobilize voter registration drives in 20 battleground states in a bid to boost turnout and thrust the issue into the mainstream.
You can't concede your power away. You can't concede that wrong should be right.
I spoke to her at the start of The Guardian's year-long voting rights project.
So there are obviously myriad issues that you campaigned on in your gubernatorial election, but you've chosen to focus now on voting rights as a singular issue. Why is that?
Voting rights serve as the conduit through which all other change is made possible. You cannot tackle economic insecurity. You cannot fight for better climate change legislation. You cannot protect access to criminal justice reform. The things we want to see made real become so because of voting.
We're just about a year out from the 2020 election. At this stage, are you confident that every voting age American will have free and fair access to the ballot box?
Absolutely not. In America, we have the theory of free and fair elections, but unfortunately we've seen, particularly over the last 20 years, an erosion of the ability to access that right. And that has come both through GOP or Republican behavior, but also through foreign interference in our elections. On the part of the GOP, there's an aggressive attempt to weaken who has the right to vote. And with foreign interference, we've seen the US Senate deny the right to actually secure our elections.
Where do you stand on the abolition of the Electoral College, which is obviously the electoral system that allowed Donald Trump to win the election, but not the popular vote?
I believe we should abolish the Electoral College. There is a ahistorical memory of the Electoral College being an apparatus designed to protect smaller states from the tyranny of larger states. That actually didn't exist at the time of the creation of the Electoral College. It was designed because those who were in power did not trust the peasants and the working people to actually make good decisions. And we should all be in rebellion against that idea. We have reached a place where we have access to information and we should be able to directly decide who the President of the United States is.
Obviously, one of the defining moments of the midterm elections last year was your refusal to concede the election.
If I wasn't your first choice, or if you made no choice at all, you're going to have a chance to do a do-over.
He described that, or his campaign described that, as a disgrace to democracy. What's your response to that?
I believe the disgrace to democracy is the intentional suppression of the democratic right to vote for tens of thousands of Georgians. When voter suppression works, it silences the voices of those who seek to be heard. But more importantly, we know that on specific issues, his beliefs are at odds with the beliefs that are espoused by Georgians. And we see this happening across the country. People are being asked to stand in the gap when the politics that are being delivered by the elected officials do not reflect what the people ask for.
So Donald Trump's rhetoric on this particular issue has been to spread false theories around illegal voting.
She recently said she wants illegal aliens to be part of her blue wave. I think her blue wave's not going to happen.
Are you worried that that rhetoric is going to get worse up to 2020, and is it going to be more dangerous?
I think that he is telling falsehoods intentionally to not only animate his base, but to terrify duly eligible electors, people who could cast ballots. And yes, we've seen that there has been a dangerous rhetoric that has led to the loss of life. I'm not suggesting that the El Paso shooter took his action simply because of voting rights, but that was a part that he cited. What I find most dangerous about Donald Trump is that he knows for a fact that voter fraud is not real, but he also relies on the existence of voter suppression. He practices it by yelling and screaming these lies about what's happening, while he does also know that under his watch, more and more people have been denied the right to vote who are legally eligible.
Some people have said that you may be considered as a vice presidential candidate. Are you waiting to hear from anybody on that?
I think that I think it would be fantastic to be invited to be someone's running mate, but you can't plan your life around someone else's wishes. And so while the nominees work, I'm going to be working on Fair Fight 2020, doing the work of making sure voter protection is real. And if someone decides to ring my phone and ask me to serve, I would be happy to have the conversation.